Just take a look here. I mean, you see these uniformed Secret Service, heavily armed Secret Service officers here in Lafayette Square because the White House is currently on lockdown, even though the president and first lady are down in Palm Beach for Thanksgiving. I mean, there were tourists here at Lafayette Square, up along the gate, the fencing around the White House there on Pennsylvania Avenue, but now everybody is pushed back out here to H Street. And I want to pan to the right as we see people going down the sidewalk here. This is the next intersection is Connecticut Avenue, and then 17th Street is the next. This is H. One block to the north. To the right would be I Street. But normally there would be cars cruising up and down Homa here along H Street near the White House. And it is open to pedestrians, at least up until Connecticut. But just a shocking turn of events here. I mean, a shooting, and now going from critically wounded to 2 West Virginia National Guardsmen shot and killed on the streets of D.C., which were in kind of a pre-Thanksgiving mood today. We've been down here all day, earlier covering an event at the convention center with Mayor Bowser, who was in a very light mood because she had announced yesterday she would not be seeking a 4th term. And as we were talking with Guy Lambert earlier, after her news conference with reporters, you know, we hadn't seen her in that kind of a light, weight off my shoulders kind of aura in some time. And here, just like an hour later, this happens. So just sadly, a dark pre-Thanksgiving here in our nation's capital. And again, you have 2 West Virginia National Guardsmen. I don't know if it's 2 men, 2 women, man, woman. The ones I saw down at 7th Street near Capital One Arena at that car accident, it was a man and a woman in their fatigues, National Guardsmen. They were here doing a job, and it's just hard to believe. And we'll get more reaction. I mean, I saw Rich and Mike walking by, and when I told them what happened, you know, they were visibly shaken. But as you heard Rich from Michigan saying, what was it all about? We don't know the details, unfortunately.
And Bob, those details are coming in very slowly at this hour, but we'll check back in with you in just a little bit. Thank you so much, Bob Barnard, live for us in front of the White House. And just to catch you up, if you're just now joining us, the governor of West Virginia confirming that the 2 Guards members from West Virginia have been shot and killed here on the streets of D.C. Let's go back out live to Julie Donaldson, who is on the scene there near 16th and I. Julie?
Hey, Homa. When that news came out that these 2 Guardsmen did not survive this, you could just really feel a heaviness here. I mean, there is a very heavy presence of media lining the entire way down 16th Street, even down to 17th. That news, people grasping the severity of what happened here today, and right as you're talking about on the holidays as well. No, I reached out to the mayor's office and just happened to see a spokesperson that was walking by, and I said, where is the mayor? They said she is here in D.C. for the holidays, so she is in town, and she is currently being briefed on everything that happened here today. As they do get more information, we can expect a press conference from her. We can expect more information coming out as she is currently gathering it herself. But as this remains a very active scene, again, as we were down a block further on 17th Street, and not too long ago, they pushed all the media members back to 6th Street because they wanted to expand this investigation. There's been a lot of talks on how many people were injured. Of course, now we do know that 2 Guardsmen were shot as we do wait more information. But that is all the same information that Mayor Muriel Bowser is getting right now as well. And again, we can expect more information from her office as she gathers and puts that together. You know, I was talking to some National Guardsmen as they were looking into expanding into different districts, and different wards had the opportunity to say, yes, we want these National Guardsmen to come into our neighborhoods for the beautification, to help clean it up, to also just have their presence in order to make the streets safer. A lot of wards selected to have their presence come in. Some said they didn't think that it was anything that was going to do long-term good. They thought their presence there, while it might deter crime for the moment, was more just a Band-Aid. And the second that they would leave their neighborhoods, leave their wards, that the crime would pick up. But when you're talking to the National Guardsmen, and he said a lot of the National Guardsmen, I know the 2 that were shot from here, they're from this area. A lot of them took pride in the work that they were doing as well. But today, all of them will have a heavy heart as things unfolded here as well, Homa.
Okay, what am I doing?
Much. And we're We're going to continue our breaking news coverage into 2 West Virginia Guards members killed on the streets of D.C. as the 4 o'clock begins right now. I'll toss it over to Kenneth and Angie. And Yemisi, at this point, we're just getting this information in that these were 2 West Virginia Guards members. Again, they were not home for Thanksgiving. They were here serving on the streets of D.C. We don't know yet if this was an ambush, if this was a planned attack, but the president saying that the shooter was also badly injured. We know 3 people were taken from that scene, so we're still waiting to get those details. We know MPD right now is setting up for a press conference, but we'll head over to the 4 o'clock news and continue our breaking coverage. Guys.
Thank you, Homa. Just incredible coverage there. And our continuing coverage here does begin in the 4 o'clock hour after these 2 National Guardsmen targeted outside of the White House, shot and killed. We are following the latest developments here.
Yeah, first we want to go straight to the streets where Nana Singh-Bonsu is standing by. She is at Farragut Park right now. This is near where the incident happened, where the shooting happened at 17th and I, near Farragut Square. And this is also where we understand, Nana, we are expecting a briefing from officials, and this is the media staging area, and that should happen momentarily, we're told.
Hey, Homa, yes, correct. We're told this media briefing can happen anytime soon, but we've just been told to come to this block of 17 and I, again, right by Farragut Square. It is a very large scene. If you can see on the other side of this park is a little closer to where we are told the 2 National Guard members that we now know have passed were shot. You have a lot of tourists here. You have people who live in the area. I was able to speak to a number who said, they actually saw Guard members as we've been covering. These National Guard members have been here for months, helping with the crime in the district. You see them in groups. You see them walking. One tourist said she was having a drink at a cafe. She saw a couple of them, and that's when she heard the shots, but she can't really piece together what took place. All she heard briefly after was sirens, and then an ambulance came. She did say she saw them lift someone and put them on the gurney, but can't confirm who it was. A lot happening, a lot of witnesses. We spoke to one man who's in town from South Carolina about what he saw moments after he saw an ambulance pull up. Take a listen. Okay, so go ahead. So talk to me about what you saw when you got here.
When I arrived, there were still police cars coming in from all directions, and the ambulance was across the street. I saw the people take the gurney from the ambulance, go down the street, and in about 10 minutes they came back, and there was a body on that, and I don't know if it was alive or what, but put it in the ambulance, and they drove down the street, and that was it. And since then, it's been massive reporters everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, I have to ask you, and if you can speak up just a little bit, what goes through your mind when you hear that at least 2 National Guard members were shot right here in the nation's capital?
Oh, my. Shooting anywhere is terrible, and shooting National Guard is also terrible. It's unfortunate that they're here, to be truthful with you, and that's maybe part of the problem. But still, not good, not admissible shootings.
And that was just an account of one of many witnesses that are here. A very, 1 second, I believe we're getting an update from police. I see there are putting stands up. I think they were just asking us to stay behind the caution tape. I wanted to give you guys a sense of where we are and where the White House is. This is just about 2 blocks away from the White House. Past the Tate to the left is where the White House is, closer to H Street. So just to kind of give you an idea of the proximity. Okay, police are asking us, to stay on the other side of the caution tape, which we are doing. I just believe some other reporters are getting on the other side. Again, a lot happening here, but we're expecting that update and that briefing. No worries. And as soon as we have it, we'll take it for you right here live. But again, what we can confirm, 2 National Guard members from West Virginia shot and killed here at the nation's capital just a day before Thanksgiving. As soon as we have updates, we'll have it for you. Home and Kenneth.
All right, Nana, thank you so much. And just to reset for our viewers here who are joining us here in the 4 o'clock hour on Fox 5, those shots fired outside the White House in the 2 o'clock hour, 2 National Guards members were hit. Since then, they have been confirmed dead. They were in critical condition when they were rushed to nearby hospitals. We know from the response from President Trump. They were in two separate hospitals as there were life-saving measures there. But unfortunately, we've learned that they have been killed. We are hearing from the president. We're hearing from Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem at this hour. The White House currently on lockdown, heavy security in that area around the White House.
Yeah, we know, as you mentioned, Kenneth, that the president has released a statement. He has been briefed on this. Mayor Muriel Bowser also briefed on this shooting that took 2 lives of our National Guardsmen from West Virginia. 17th and I in Farragut Square, that remains shut down. The West Virginia governor also weighing in and confirming that this has been a tremendous loss for his state.
I'm sorry, Angie. We just got word there were conflicting reports from the West Virginia governor about the conditions of these National Guardsmen who we've been reporting are dead. I'm going to read this to you right now from Governor Patrick Morrisey there in West Virginia. We are now receiving conflicting reports about the condition of our 2 Guard members and will provide additional updates once we receive more complete information. Our prayers are with these brave service members, their families, and the entire Guard community. With this incident happening, less than 2 hours ago, Angie, this is no surprise that we are getting conflicting reports at this point. But when that social media post came out from the governor that these National Guard troops were indeed killed, obviously that is a credible source for us, and that is what we reported. But now we're hearing the governor say there's conflicting reports.
And just to give you some context, when we have breaking news like this, and one that involves so many different officials, so many different agencies, I know alone, just to begin, we're talking DC Police, National Guard, we saw the ATF, Federal Protective Services, we have their local authorities for the Guardsmen and where they're from. They're all coordinating this, and we are doing our best, as is everybody, and not jumping ahead of the facts, not jumping ahead of conclusions here, just relying on our sources and the official ones at that. What we do know, though, is that as of right now, you mentioned the White House is on lockdown, but they don't believe that there is an imminent threat out there to the public. But with any investigation like this, especially one that involves members of our U.S. military, this is going to be a huge investigation where they're going to have to set the perimeter, canvass the scene. It's going to take a lot of time, and that's why you see such a huge volume of officer presence here. And we still will not have a timetable, probably for a long time, as far as when everything will open up. But the suspect, we are told, was wounded and is in custody.
Is in custody. The president, putting on social media the animal that shot the 2 National Guardsmen, with both being critically wounded and now in 2 separate hospitals, is also severely wounded, but regardless will pay a very steep price. We have no information, no details about this suspect. We've heard some information about this person. This gunman had been in a hoodie on this 70-degree day here in Washington. Obviously, the day before Thanksgiving, there are a number of people always around the White House and near the White House. But at this point, no information about that suspect or any motives, any political motives at this point. But as you see, that's a live scene there in Northwest D.C., a large, not only police presence, but a number of federal agencies are on the ground there. And this is common and typical in these types of situations where, again, the White House is locked down, but the White House will be locked down on something pretty simple, just any potential threat. Obviously, there's a major threat here, which is why you have the White House locked down. And the president and the first lady are currently in Florida, so they're not even there, but this is still normal to have this type of security presence there. We want to get to our Josh Rosenthal, who's on this scene as well. We have a number of reporters there. Josh, where are you and what are you seeing?
Kenneth, Angie, I'm standing just in front of the intersection of 16th and I. That's what's there behind me. And the reason that we're standing this far back from the police tape is because I want to give you this wide angle to show you just how expansive this crime scene is. We're standing on I Street. So that first intersection you see here is 16th. The one just after it, that's I and 17th. That is where we believe that these shootings took place. And as you can see, it is emergency vehicles and chaos at this point, from our vantage point, pretty much as far as the eye could block or two, that's the White House, which, as you guys were saying earlier, is on lockdown. One thing about this, what appears to be a tragedy happening in this area, especially this time, right before Thanksgiving, you have a lot of people, tourists, walking all throughout here. We just spoke with a couple of people who said they were from Virginia, a little further out. They came here to D.C., they said, just to spend a nice night in the city ahead of the holidays, and they just so happened to walk by this crime scene and this apparent tragedy. They said they were devastated to see this, and person after person has said, in particular, this is tough to see and learn about just ahead of the holidays. Take a look over here in this direction, back to where we came from. You can see police vehicles, in some cases, still pulling up. That's D.C. police right there. If you keep going to your left, Neto, another police vehicle. And so, as this information trickles out, guys, about what exactly happened here and the condition of various people involved, it is important to remember this is still very much an active crime scene. That police vehicle right there just had to tell people to get out of its way, and it sped down towards the White House. And right now, this is very much the scene. Here, if you look back in this direction, Neto, you can see these are just normal drivers, it would appear, who either parked there or driving by the area. They are trying to navigate this just as we are, just as tourists on foot are, and just as police are. Just come on back here for 1 second with me. I'm going to see if we can talk to some of these people who are standing by. Excuse me, I'm sorry to bother you. It's okay. I understand some folks not wanting to go on live TV. That's okay. That's okay. Just trying to get a sense for you guys at the reaction among people. I'm sorry to bother you. Could I ask you real quick, ma'am? Let's try this one. Come over here. I'm terribly sorry to bother you. I'm Josh. Can I just ask you what you think of all this happening? It looks like you were just passing by.
Yeah, I'm actually on a call. Can you?
That's okay. No worries. As you guys can see, very much a fluid situation here. A lot of people passing by over here in this direction. Families passing by, just trying to figure out, like we are, like police are, what exactly is taking place. For now, I'm going to send it back to you.
All right, Josh, thank you there. I know people are just coming out because they want to see that scene, try to figure out what's going on, but also just go about their day. Bob Barnard is also very close to the scene. I think you're near Lafayette Park. Let's bring in our Bob Barnard to see.
Complete family from out of town would have hoped to have been right up alongside the White House gates on Pennsylvania Avenue. Unfortunately, they're kept here. This is at the
America's #1 news, ABC News, now streaming 24/7 on Disney+.
Tonight, with tens of millions taking to the road and skies this Thanksgiving, know what to expect and where the problems might be as severe storms hit with a 1-2 punch. We're tracking it all.
Protesters, but they've been quiet as they realize what's going on here, that the White House is on lockdown, Lafayette Square is closed, a number of the streets in the area are closed as well. And I'm going to have Doug Wilkes pan to the right here in a second and just show you we're on H Street. So some cars are coming this way that are being turned away from the blocked road down there. The next street west of us where they're turning from is Connecticut Avenue. The street beyond that where you see the flashing lights, that would be 17th Street at H. The incident is to the right, 1 block north at 17th and I is where this shooting happened. So pedestrians are able to get as far as Connecticut Avenue, but cars are being kept several blocks away from where we are. Some are able to leave this area, those that were in parking garages here or on the curb, but no vehicular traffic is allowed into this area. Again, you can see some pedestrians, but it's a wide perimeter still around this scene. And as Josh was doing moments ago, we've talked to people as we've been sharing this news, now conflicting news about the conditions of the two West Virginia National Guards men, women, we're not sure genders, but who were shot this afternoon, literally just 3 blocks from the White House, slightly north and west of the White House. For what reason, we don't know. You would almost believe if 2 of them were shot, they had to have been targeted in some way, but we don't know. And the gunman who allegedly shot at them, according to our law enforcement sources and even the president's tweet, has been wounded and is at the hospital as well. So it's just an odd scene here. Again, as I come back to the fact that you have a lot of people who are down here for the holiday and wanted to kind of take a look at the White House, and what they're finding is a major crime scene.
Well, I think during your last hit or so, you were talking to and delivering the news that we thought that these guardsmen had been killed. Again, conflicting reports at this point. The governor of West Virginia saying, hold up on that after he confirmed that both members were killed. But now he's saying that there are conflicting reports about the conditions of these 2 guard members. Are you hearing any reaction from the people on the street about these conflicting reports?
Yeah, I think what the most the questions I'm getting from folks are what literally happened. Hi, folks, how you doing? Hi, where are you visiting from?
Guatemala.
Guatemala. Did you hear what happened down the street here?
No.
But you know the White House grounds are closed.
Yes.
2 National Guardsmen. I don't know if in your visit here you've seen National Guard troops on the street. 2 of them have been shot just down the street. We don't know their conditions.
Wow.
What's your reaction to that? We don't know the scenario that led to them being shot, but there's a chance they didn't make it, but we're not 100% sure.
Well, that's sad. I mean, especially around the holidays. I'm pretty sure they have family, and I don't think that's good. It's scary.
Yeah, have you felt like, did you know what was going on? Like that something was going on?
Heard, we was wondering what was going on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. By the demeanor of some folks, some were dancing and making videos. They didn't have any idea what was going on or didn't even ask. But it does seem fairly subdued here. And as you learn this, these were most certainly residents of another state who were away from their families here for Thanksgiving.
Yes. That's sad. I guess we just got to pray for them so they can survive.
We hope. Thank you very much, ma'am. Have a happy Thanksgiving. All right, guys, that's the latest here from just outside Lafayette Square. The White House remaining on lockdown at this hour.
Okay, Bob, thank you so much for that. Part of our boots on the ground there fanned out across the scene where this terrible shooting happened. We now want to go to Rich Giordano. He is a law enforcement expert, former prosecutor, joining us today as these details start to leak out. We're still piecing all of this together, just like everybody else. What can you tell us as far as what this variety of law enforcement agencies that are working together, what they're doing at this point as they try to figure out what led up to this moment?
There's a multitude of agencies working together, but they're collecting evidence at the scene. They probably have evidence tech there looking for firearm that may or may not have been used, looking for backpacks, looking for ammo or shells that were discharged. It's still unfolding rapidly. Let's hope and pray that these individuals are still alive and it was just misinformation we all received. I think it's really interesting. Bob was just on, and I think just to pose, he said, have a happy Thanksgiving. And that's what today should be about. People heading home for Thanksgiving. This is brutally unfair when these unfold, especially to the guardsmen in West Virginia and their families. Their families are probably struggling to figure out who got shot. Are they alive? Are they not? But they probably haven't been able to identify or notify families, and especially with the conflicting reports. This is supposed to be a joyous time. The families were preparing for their guardsmen to come home shortly. They were told they were going to start sending them home. Instead, they may be preparing for long-term medical, or they may be preparing for funerals. I hope not. But I will tell you, from listening to what I've seen from all your witnesses so far, it was very quickly over, but rapidly over. Wendy, who was on last hour, said that the person had a hoodie on, leading me to believe that this may have very well been a targeted assassination.
Well, it looks like we have 2 guardsmen that have been shot and killed in D.C. Looks like the third person, which seems to be the assailant, has been apprehended, but is also shot or injured and in the hospital. I'll go back to the sound here.
For battles, they get deployed for war zones, but they're kids. A lot of them are 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds. They could work at a Walmart or a grocery store, and then they're deployed. And if you're used to your training once a month, and you're used to your summer training, or to going overseas and guarding our facilities, I think to be tossed into cities to perform a law enforcement function adds stress to them and puts them in a more vulnerable spot. They're all heroes in my book, and I say, just remember, I hope it's not, but these could be young people, and I hope that they are not fatally injured, as was told to us in the past.
Yeah, we pray that it's not the case and that they are still with us. I do want to ask you, and there's a future discussion to be had here about the National Guard troops who are in D.C., this deployment being in U.S. cities, because typically we see the National Guard helping when there's a natural disaster, when there are other things that happen, but not pretty much for law enforcement. And I will say the National Guard troops that we've seen here in the district the past few weeks especially, there have been beautification projects. There have been more crime deterrents than actually doing law enforcement duties because that was not their mandate during the Trump DC takeover and the subsequent period that we've seen after the crime emergency is over. But I want to move back to this investigation.
Identify what steps did he take. Did he come from the transit system? Did he come from a building? Was it an ambush in front and back? There are so many cameras that we have in major cities that this will be one of the major pieces to put this back together. When they do get the person, they're going to go through their phone, they're going to go through their computers, they're going to get a warrant for their house. They'll be executing a search warrant on this house if they've identified the individual by 8 o'clock tonight is my bet. And right now they probably have law enforcement guarding the houses or the possible house of where this individual lives so that nobody can get in and tamper with anything. They'll then do forensics on that. They'll use the AI to locate and track where this person may have come from. We've seen all kinds of bizarre incidents. We don't know. Unfortunately, there's so much heated rhetoric that comes across today. You don't know if these National Guardsmen were particularly targeted, or they interrupted a robbery, or they interrupted the individual with a firearm. I will tell you this. I have been with Fox News in Chicago, Los Angeles, and with you people in D.C., and everyone that interviews people on the street, they're happy to see another uniform and boots on the street, even if it's the National Guard. It's another uniformed personnel that gives them more of a sense of common peace and deterrence for the criminals when they see law enforcement around. One thing about law enforcement and the National Guard, And I have to tell you this, they condemn the police, they shoot bottle rockets at us, they call us, fry them up like bacon pigs, they ambush people, but they call 911, and the first thing law enforcement says to the dispatchers is, where's your emergency? What do you need? We don't care what your race is.
And Rich, I'm sorry to cut you off. I know you got to go soon, so I want to get this. Can you briefly answer this? Because this is a major thing that just happened, which was conflicting reports that said that the guardsmen were dead. And then now people are probably wondering, who watching this, how could something like that happen? We know that this happened 2.5 hours ago or so, and that information is coming fast and furious, but typically we wait for law enforcement to step up to the mics and confirm. So how could something like this happen?
Well, how it happens is you got EMTs, you got other law enforcement in there, you got medical personnel. Somebody says, doesn't look good, they're not going to make it. And by the time it gets to the front door, it's that they're dead. So it's like the kid when we were when we were kids. There's a game where you start with one person, go around a room, and it's end. And so there's so much information, and there's such a rush to try to get the information out to the public so they know what's going on. And that's how those mistakes happen. I said earlier, let's hit the pause when we were talking in the segment, the 3 o'clock hour. Yeah. Let's hit the pause and get more information. But there's a race to try to get as much information so people are aware if this is a one-off incident or if there's more fear. But that's how those things happen. They hear somebody in the ambulance says it doesn't look good, and then somebody overhears it, and it just gets turned into they're not going to make it.
Right, and this is why we will wait and make sure that we have the correct information before we report it out. But again, that was coming from the governor, Patrick Morrissey, but as soon as he sent out that correcting tweet, we reported that. So, Rich, we know you got to go. Thank you for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, and I pray for these people and their families. And I ask everyone else to do the same. Definitely. They're not down there to get ambushed and shot, and hopefully they don't die. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, of course. We're praying that they're okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Rich, for all of that insight. We'll be checking back in with you. But meantime, we want to head back out to Julie Donaldson. She's joining us from 16th and I Street. This is near the scene where this tragic shooting unfolded. At this point, can you confirm anything about these two National Guardsmen? Anything new that you've come across?
Yeah, no, Angie, it's still a lot of information that's being gathered. And from a lot of people that I talked to when I first got here at 3 o'clock on the scene, they're saying it took place. They heard shots fired, like a boom, 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 like fireworks kind of going off around 2:15. And since then, there have been mixed reports from what people have heard. 2 shots. I've heard some people say that they heard 3 shots. But at the time when they did hear it, it was chaos. People running scared in all directions trying to get away from what they do was a very dangerous scene. And since then, the police, they say, responded quickly. And this has been locked down. When we first got here, we were able to get up to 17th Street. But it wasn't long after that the police wanted to be able to expand their active scene, active search, be able to push all the media back. And there's dozens of media here. And on top of that, there's a lot of people. This is the holidays. People are in Washington, D.C., visiting with family, coming up here to see the sights and the sounds. There's been a lot of pedestrian traffic. They pushed us quickly back to 16th Street. So that's where we are right now, 16th and I. The information, again, that we are getting from those that saw and heard what happened is mixed. And, of course, we really want to wait until we get the information, which will be at a press conference the police are holding. I am told the mayor will be there as well, that she was being briefed on all of this. That's going to be happening over where Nana is. So as soon as we do have that, we know Nana will bring that information. But let us hear some of the sound of a woman who was there when this all took place. And from her account, what happened here?
I was in the Uber. I heard right in front of 17th Street, and I heard boom, boom 2 times. And then the Uber driver said, "Why are all these people running?" So then I look out the window, and it's little children, adults running, children on both sides of the street, running in the opposite direction. The supervision is saying to the children, "Go, go, run." And then I heard, "Help, help."
So it was very chaotic, as she said early on, but with the police coming in, with the police coming in here quickly and locking everything down, they said they've had the area very safe, very controlled off, very pushed back here. But what we're having right now is a lot of people that are leaving work, trying to get to their cars, trying to get out of the area that we're here just for what their normal day was before they go off on holiday of Thanksgiving tomorrow. So right now, everybody's just really kind of standing around waiting to get the information from one to the next, which, you know, as they're doing this active investigations, you can kind of see here behind me, when we first came up, there was nothing but police cars flashing lights down this entire street on both sides. It looks like it's died down a little bit, but obviously still down the street, a very, very heavy presence as this investigation continues to be very active right now.
All right, Julia, thank you so much. And I do want to say that Pete Hegseth, the Department of Defense Secretary, has just made a statement on camera. He posted that on Twitter about 11 minutes ago. We are working to turn that around for you, and we will play that out as soon as we get it. But again, we're getting responses from many top officials in the Trump administration. We have heard from the president, who posted on social media calling the gunman an animal, saying, quote, "The animal that shot the two National Guardsmen, with both being critically wounded and now in two separate hospitals, also severely wounded, but regardless will pay a very steep price. God bless our great National Guard and all of our military and law enforcement. These are truly great people." I, as the president of the United States, the president goes on. But again, the president has been briefed on the situation.
We want to go now to that video that was just posted online by Secretary of War Pete Hegseth.
Very productive meetings, but I want to start by saying after those meetings, myself and my team were notified that two National Guardsmen have been shot in Washington, D.C., critically wounded. The shooter shot in a cowardly, dastardly act, targeting the best of America. Heroes willing to serve in Washington, D.C., serve for people they don't know and they've never met because they love their country and their capital and their community. They were willing to do dangerous things others were not because they love their fellow Americans. Someone decided to turn that into targeting National Guardsmen. That will only stiffen our resolve. We will never back down. We will secure our capital. We will secure our cities. In fact, this happened just steps away from the White House. It will not stand. And that's why President Trump has asked me, and I will ask the Secretary of the Army, to the National Guard to add 500 additional troops, National Guardsmen, to Washington, D.C. This will only stiffen our resolve to ensure that we make Washington, D.C. safe and beautiful. The drop in crime has been historic. The increase in safety and security has been historic. But if criminals want to conduct things like this, violence against America's best, we will never back down. President Trump will never back down. That's why the American people elected him. America and our warriors, our National Guardsmen, are strong. So we're following this very closely. We're getting information rapidly. And I mentioned the faith of this country, the Christian faith, the prayers. I would ask for prayers for our National Guardsmen.
Excuse me, Mr.
Appeals to heaven for our National Guardsmen, for their families, on bended knee as a War Department, as a nation.
Excuse me.
We will never back down. We think about them right now.
Venezuela.
We had a couple of great, productive meetings with the President and the Minister of Defense here, where we are dedicated to the counter-cartel effort here. Criminality knows no boundaries, whether it's the United States of America and Washington, D.C., or it's the Caribbean
that's obviously Pete Hegseth at the Department of Defense at the Pentagon there. Moving on to another topic of national interest there, but addressing these two National Guardsmen shot in Northwest D.C. near the White House, and giving us a few extra details, a few new details there, including we were wondering whether these guardsmen were targeted. He used the phrase and said they were targeted. The shooting that targeting National Guardsmen. He also added that he will ask the president to add 500 additional National Guard troops on the ground in the district. And obviously, we've been reporting for the past week or so that a judge had ruled that the deployment of these troops was illegal by the president.
Yeah, I think it goes without saying, anybody who's been following this since the National Guard arrived here in Washington, D.C. during this takeover back in August, that this activation has not gone without controversy. And the big question also coming out of all of this, which was partially just answered, at least to an immediate response, who knows what will be added onto that afterwards, but is how is this going to change the landscape of this federal surge here in our nation's capital? When you look at the numbers, I think the estimate was like 2,190 National Guard members currently in the district right now. A lot of them from this area, but as we have seen, other states as well. We've talked a little bit about how these are not full-time soldiers, right? These are citizen soldiers. They have a whole nother life. They have a whole nother job, and it's only when they are called to action, called to serve, and in this case, serve the mission of the president in protecting not only the citizens, but the visitors of the city. They answer that call. And so as a result of that, we are now understand that we are going to see an influx. We are going to see
Well, he says that he will put in the request to the president. We don't know if that will be approved, and will the president also use this incident to reignite the crime emergency that has, since been ended, months ago in D.C., but yet the National Guard troops remained, and that's been the Attorney General Brian Schwab in the district has fought that. The mayor has fought that. There has, been city leaders who don't want the National Guard troops or don't think that they're needed, and that D.C. police alone can tackle any crime issues in the city. The president he noted, I think the other day before he took off for his holiday, that there hasn't been one murder in D.C. in the past 6 months. We know that is not the case. A little hyperbole from the president, perhaps there. But we know there has been a drop in crime. The mayor has noted that. It was because of the D.C. police, was the influx of federal officers. We do know there has been a drop, and it has been because there has been more attention in some high crime areas, even though we could debate this and talk about how the fact that some of these troops were not in some of the most high crime areas, and some of the residents pointed that out. Where you see it on the screen right now, Janine Pirro has put out a statement saying, "God bless the two National Guardsmen who've been shot near the White House. As the U.S. Attorney for D.C., I stand ready, as does my office, to seek justice in this case. I am on my way to the scene now." Yeah, the United States Attorney there offering her statement. I think it's important just to piggyback off what you said, Kenneth, quickly, is that National Guardsmen or Guard members, they are not brought here to engage in policing, right? I mean, there was even controversy when they first arrived that they weren't armed, and there was a call, well, maybe they should have, they should be armed, but not called to use it, but just in case. And in this case, we know that preliminary reports say that there was an engagement of gunfire between these two individuals and the suspect who is in custody right now. But the current deployment, as we've said time and time again, have really been in this non-enforcement role. Now we want to go over to Julie Donaldson, check back in with her. She joins us she's close to the scene, I believe. I think they pushed you back, you said, to I and 16th.
Yeah, they did. We were over at 17th when we first got here at 3 o'clock, but they quickly said they wanted to expand their active search area and their investigation area, so they pushed all the media back down to 16th Street. So here we are at 16th and I. There's still a lot of course, media out here covering this. There's a lot of spectators that are walking around trying just to figure out what is going on. But we came across Michael. Michael was here at the time that this went down. Tell us, Michael, what time around was it, and what were you doing, and what did you hear?
Well, it was the afternoon, and I was walking to lunch, and it got to 17th and I Street, and we heard gunshots. So we ran about 4 or 5 storefronts down I Street. Then we kind of thought maybe it was construction. Then we heard another round of gunshots, probably like 10 seconds later, maybe even less. So we ran a little bit further. then, after that, like a minute after that, a lot of people thought it was construction. So, like a lot of security people are out in the street. So I went back to get my lunch and witnessed they had one person pinned down and yelling at him to stay down. And then there were two National Guards on the ground. One, it looked like they were trying to resuscitate. And then there were a couple National Guard that were hugging each other that were obviously very upset about what had happened.
What kind of emotions are you going through as you're witnessing this?
Well, I mean, there's a little bit of adrenaline and, at one point, even disbelief, it was a little bit surreal. You see this stuff on TV, you don't expect to witness it yourself.
The man that they had pinned down, I wouldn't want to suggest that it was a man, but the person that they had pinned down, do you know what they were wearing? Can you describe them at all?
Like I said, I took some photos. I'd have to zoom in. I do know that it looked like there were two people pinning him down. One man may have been a civilian. He was wearing a black hat and had a beard. And then it looked like there was another National Guard perhaps pinning him as well. And there was a lot of broken glass from the bus stop on the scene as well.
Broken glass bus stop. Why was there broken glass there?
I'm guessing from the gunshots, because it wasn't broken before that.
And you said there were two different rounds of it. Do you know about approximately how many shots did you hear?
It kind of sounded like 5 or 6 in each round. When we went back, we didn't think anything was going on because there was just one police car there.
How long before it became a heavier police presence?
It took like a couple more minutes for some more police to show up, and then probably about 5 minutes later, a rush of police came. That's when, the police were armed.
All right,
that's when the EMTs showed up. And then they started to push us back from 17th and I Street across the street.
Did you talk to me, please, on just kind of what you saw and what you witnessed at all here?
No, I mean, they had me go back inside my place of business.